Welcome to our noon edition of Arirang News. Here are the headlines at this hour. In a few hours, South Korea's health ministry will announce how many more students can be admitted to medical schools from 2025. This is the first time in 19 years that the med school enrollment quota has been raised, mainly to tackle the country's personnel shortage. President Yoon presided over a cabinet meeting on Tuesday morning, touching upon many key issues. This includes expanding Dilbom School's program that allows working parents to enroll their children in after-school classes, granting a special pardon to people, and taming food prices ahead of the Lunar New Year holidays. And the global economy is looking brighter this year. The OECD projects the world's economic growth to increase by 2.9% in 2024. But South Korea's outlook has been revised down due to high interest rates and inflation. For the first time in 19 years, South Korea has decided to raise its medical school enrollment quota to tackle the severe doctor shortage. In just a few hours, we will hear exactly how many more students will be able to enter med school from 2025. But medical worker associations have been on edge, and junior doctors are now gearing up to participate in a strike. Shin-Young tells us what to expect.
An announcement regarding an increase in annual admission quotas at medical schools is expected on Tuesday to tackle doctor shortages in areas outside the capital as well as in essential medical areas. The plan for the increase is expected to be released after a 2 p.m. meeting on medical workforce policies. If decided, it will be applied from 2025 and will be the first hike in 19 years as the quota has remained unchanged at 3,058 per year since 2006.
국민의 건강과 생명을 지키기 위해 의사 인력 확대는 더 이상 늦출 수 없는 시대적 과제입니다. 국민의 생명과 건강은 물론 이 나라의 미래를 지키기 위한 의료개혁에 의료계의 협조를 당부드립니다.
Last week, the government laid out its medical reform plan where it projected a doctor shortage of 15,000 by 2035. The increase in capacity is expected to be more than an initial estimate of between 350 and 500, possibly exceeding 1,500 doctors next year. The Korean Association of Medical Colleges said that an increase of 350 students in the enrollment quota for next year will be appropriate. Ahead of the government's announcement, the Korean Medical Association, which opposes the expansion, held a press conference on Tuesday. It said if the government pressed ahead with expansion without consultation with the association, there would be a strike and the association's executive members would resign. According to a survey conducted by the Korean Intern Residents Association last month, 86% of the respondents expressed willingness to participate in a strike if there is an expansion. In response, the Ministry of Health and Welfare announced a strong countermeasure. It is reportedly set to issue immediate return to work orders if doctors go on strike. Also, it is considering disciplinary action for those who do not comply with the orders. Shin-Young, Arirang News.
Ahead of Seollal, or Lunar New Year this weekend, President Yoon is granting a special pardon to 450,000 people, including 7 politicians. The announcement came on Tuesday as he presided over a cabinet meeting. Among those on the list is Minister of National Defense Kim Kwon-jin, who is the current vice chair of the Presidential Defense Innovation Committee. Kim was convicted of political meddling and abuse of authority back in 2018. The government explained that pardoning former key public officials was done in balance with previous pardons and is a way to resolve conflicts and create an opportunity for national unity. Meanwhile, during the address, President Yoon also pledged to keep the prices down for the major holiday. The OECD expects a brighter global economy. It has raised its forecast from November and said the global economy will grow by 2.9% this year. But it also projects South Korea's economy to slow down. Park Won-woo explains.
The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development revised its 2024 global economic growth projection upwards as it sharply increased its outlook for the United States. According to the OECD's latest interim economic outlook released on Monday, the global economy is expected to grow by 2.9% from an earlier estimated 2.7% made in November. However, the revised outlook is a slowdown compared to the 2023 annual growth of 3.1%, amid weakened growth momentum, continuous monetary tightening, and China's weak economic condition. The organization predicted the U.S. will continue its moderate 2.1% growth, a revision from its previous projection of 1.5%, due to weakening inflation and drops in interest rates. However, it said China's economy is expected to slow down due to its sluggish asset market and high debt, while keeping its growth projection of 4.7% made in November. As for South Korea, the OECD forecasts 2.2% growth this year, 0.1 percentage point lower than its previous projection in November. This year's figure is the same as that projected for 2024 by the government and the Korea Development Institute. Regarding inflation, the organization expects most countries to return to their targets by the end of 2025, as headline and core inflation rates gradually ease. The OECD kept its rate projection for South Korea this year at 2.7%. The organization pointed out the possibility of high inflation caused by geopolitical risks in the Middle East and debt burden caused by high interest rates as downward factors for the global economy. The OECD said countries need to be cautious with monetary policies and in securing fiscal soundness, along with making efforts to restore global supply chains and free trade throughout the year. Park Gun-woo, Arirang News.
The South Korea-Africa Economic Cooperation Support Group launched on Tuesday with a meeting in Seoul to boost cooperation ahead of a bilateral summit in June. According to the industry ministry, the support group consists of over 30 organizations representing government, public enterprise, and economic groups. It aims to discuss ways to enhance collaboration with 54 African countries, as well as successful partnerships between Korean and African companies. During the first session, the industry ministry said it would help to build an economic cooperative relationship with Africa in a variety of sectors, including industry, trade, and energy. Samsung Electronics Chairman Lee Jae-yong will not serve any more jail time. Seoul court on Monday declared Lee not guilty on charges of stock manipulation and accounting fraud connected to a controversial merger in 2015, which prosecutors believe helped him increase his control over the group. The court verdict comes more than 3 years after he was indicted. Lee Soo-jin reports.
The Seoul Central District Court acquitted Samsung Electronics Executive Chairman Lee Jae-yong on Monday at his trial for alleged accounting fraud and violation of the law on capital markets several times. The court held its hearing on Lee at 2 p.m. 3 years and 5 months after the Samsung chief was indicted in connection with the 2015 fraud case. The main issue in the trial was whether the merger process between two Samsung affiliates in 2015 was conducted properly. In 2020, Lee was indicted on charges of manipulating stock prices in the 2015 merger of two Samsung affiliates, Samsung C&T and Tail Industries, in which 3 Samsung C&T shares were offered for 1 Tail share. There have been accusations that Samsung Group management may have intentionally lowered the value of Samsung C&T to help Lee gain control of the company, as he was the largest shareholder of Tail Industries. Last November, prosecutors demanded a 5-year prison sentence for Lee. They also requested a fine of 500 million Korean won, or around $375,000. Prosecutors say the manipulation caused losses for other investors and held Lee responsible for these. He also stands accused of involvement in suspected accounting fraud at Samsung Biologics, a subsidiary of Tail Industries. The court also delivered not guilty verdicts for 13 current and former employees of Samsung who were indicted along with Lee. It stated that there was no proof of the charges, adding that the prosecution failed to sufficiently prove that the merger was unlawfully conducted to bolster the chairman's control over the company. The Associated Press reported that the latest ruling by the court could alleviate the legal trouble surrounding the Samsung heir. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
Washington on Monday reiterated its priority to secure close trilateral security with Seoul and Tokyo. It went further to call Pyongyang's recent cruise missile launches deeply destabilizing. U.S. State Department Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel said during a press briefing, actions by North Korea contributed to greater risks in the Indo-Pacific region, adding Washington will closely coordinate with its Asian allies. The comments come as the North has conducted 4 rounds of cruise missile launches this year, including a new type of nuclear-capable cruise missile. In a separate press briefing, Pentagon Press Secretary Patrick Ryder stressed the excellent relationship between Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo, vowing to jointly confront evolving North Korean threats. Britain's King Charles III has been diagnosed with cancer. The type of cancer is not yet known, but the king will take a break from public-facing duties. Lee Seung-jae has more.
Buckingham Palace said Monday that King Charles III had been diagnosed with cancer. The palace said that the medical tests revealed a form of cancer, but did not clarify what type of cancer King Charles was diagnosed with. However, royal officials said that the form of cancer detected was not prostate cancer. The remarks come after the 75-year-old monarch went to a London hospital for a corrective procedure for an enlarged prostate last month, leading to prostate cancer speculation. With Charles beginning treatment, he will take a break from his public-facing duties, as recommended by doctors, but will continue his official state duties. Other senior royals, including Queen Camilla and Prince William, will reportedly cover public engagements. Meanwhile, Prince Harry will travel to London to be at his father's side in the coming days. The Duke of Sussex's last appearance at a royal occasion took place in May during the coronation of King Charles. Harry moved to the U.S. with his wife Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, after they stepped back as senior royals in 2020. Since then, his relationship with some other royals has been strained. World leaders have expressed concerns over the cancer diagnosis, including U.S. President Joe Biden, who said he would be speaking with him soon after hearing of his diagnosis. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The prestigious 66th Grammy Awards were held at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles on February 4th local time. Taylor Swift stole the show, becoming the first performer to win the prize for Album of the Year 4 times, while K-pop artists were absent from the nominations list. Yoon tells us more.
On Sunday night at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, the 66th Annual Grammy Awards honored the year's best recordings, compositions, and artists. With women dominating the music industry's top honors, Taylor Swift cemented her position as one of the greatest songwriters of her era, as she became the first artist to win the Grammy Award for Album of the Year for the 4th time with her 10th studio album, Midnights. Miley Cyrus won Record of the Year for Flowers, Billie Eilish won Song of the Year for What Was I Made For, and R&B singer-songwriter Victoria Monet won Best New Artist. But K-pop was nowhere to be found. BTS had been nominated for Best Pop Duo Group Performance in the previous 3 years. And despite BTS having won trophies at other major American music award ceremonies like the Billboard Music Awards and the American Music Awards, K-pop artists were absent from this year's list of nominees. A professor of Korean and East Asian studies suggests the reason lies in the more regional nature of the awards and K-pop's strive for a more global audience.
The Grammys have always been primarily about the USA and to a certain extent English language music produced with an emphasis on the US market. And K-pop is focused on outward expansion, and it does want the approval of the US market, but it's also looking at the rest of the world. K-pop hasn't lost itself chasing an American dream. And in many ways, it's more global than the regionally focused artists at the Grammys.
Female artists dominated this year, taking home all the major prizes. But in 2023, only 19.5% of all songwriters across the Billboard Hot 100 songs were women. Ian-jin, Arirang News.
K-pop is definitely enjoying its popularity around the world, which is why it's expanding to other platforms. Musical film Kschool is incorporating singing, dancing, and acting to bring dreams to life on the big screen with its impending release. Our Moon Hae-ryun went to the premiere to file this report.
K-pop meets the international stage in a new format, the big screen as a musical film. The press premiere for Kschool, the world's first musical movie in 8K resolution, took place here in Seoul on Monday. With K-pop stars such as Yena from April and Tawon from Ujusonya starring in lead roles in the movie, other idol groups 8 and Amers came to show their support for the film. Kschool is a musical film about a young girl called Sua who has a natural flair for fashion design but is struggling to make ends meet and chases her dreams by working as a cleaner at a top fashion college, Kschool. Throughout the 120-minute running time, the audience is taken through several choreographed musical numbers to show Sua's journey as she overcomes various obstacles. The film won awards in 4 different categories at the Toronto International Nollywood Film Festival in 2022, including in the musical theme film category and the Viewer's Choice Award. Director Bang Mi-kyung, who also won the Best Female Filmmaker Award in the international category, explained that the film was able to resonate with the global audience due to the message it delivers.
This is a film about dreams. Dreams aren't just for young people. People can also have new dreams later in life. I planned and produced this content for a global audience because I thought it would resonate with everyone.
She also spoke of K-pop's global popularity and how it influenced the film.
K-pop idols are able to sing and dance and are also good actors. So something that combined all of these traits was a musical based on K-pop.
As for the K-pop stars featured in Kschool, they talked about how fan support meant a lot to them as the release of the movie was delayed by 3 years due to COVID-19.
I was really nervous since it was my debut on the big screen, but now that 3 years have gone by since I began shooting and the film will be seen by audiences, I just hope that it will receive a lot of love.
Those wanting to check out the movie can do so at cinemas across South Korea from February 21st. Arirang News.
Replicas of traditional museum artifacts are now a merchandising trend. As our E&E reports, they've become more popular among the younger generation after undergoing a transformation.
Museum merchandise is undergoing a unique transformation. By having the aesthetic appeal and practicality of certain replicas enhanced, they are captivating the younger generation, creating widespread interest on social media. A miniature of the pensive Bodhisattva statue, famous for its smile and a designated national treasure, is the best-selling item. As the original replica of the statue was seen as unappealing to people in their 20s and 30s due to its size, the National Museum Foundation of Korea created the miniature version to make the statue more accessible. Another national treasure is the Baekje gilt bronze incense burner. Its replica miniature sold out within a week of its release, amid a growing interest in older styles among the younger generations who are drawn to unique and meaningful items.
We have captured the details of the original artifacts with advanced 3D printing technology and incorporated a variety of colors. Not only does it serve as a beautiful decoration, but it also functions as an incense burner, just like the original artifact.
The revenue generated from museum merchandise reached almost 15 billion Korean won, or around $11 million in 2023. This is about a 27% increase in annual sales in 2022, which had set the highest record at the time.
The designs are different from what I had thought in the past.
I wasn't very interested in museum merchandise, but seeing them for the first time, I want to buy a few of them.
I bought several things which is very, very nice, well designed. This is a cup, and it is with a lot of Oriental type of design ideas. It gives you some kind of a very pleasant feeling.
This newly released set of drinking glasses constantly crashes the website due to high demand. As the number of purchases by tourists is also increasing, the foundation is focusing on creating practical and lightweight items that visitors can easily take back as souvenirs, commemorating their visit to the National Museum.
There's also a special hall that displays different kinds of museum merch. Here, people can try out the items and get a feel for how they might look when displayed in their own homes.
Historical artifacts are going beyond their traditional significance and becoming personal treasures that are used and seen in people's everyday lives. Yoon, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. In the US, California authorities are carrying out emergency rescue operations after a severe winter storm hit the area, causing substantial damage. NBC reports that at least 3 people have died in fallen tree accidents and more than 415,000 homes and businesses are without power. What's called an atmospheric river hung over Southern California, with Los Angeles recording its rainiest day ever. Surrounding areas were hit also with heavy rain, near hurricane winds, with flash floods and landslides. The National Weather Service said on Monday that some 40 million were under flood, winter storm, and high wind advisories, and that 10.4 centimeters of rain fell in downtown LA, breaking the record of 6.35 centimeters set in 1927. Nasdaq-listed search engine company Yandex NV, often referred to as Russia's Google, struck a $5.2 billion cash and share deal on Monday to sell all its assets and operations in Russia to a consortium of investors. This solidifies Russia's grip on Yandex, which is owned by a Dutch parent company, as the Kremlin has been attempting to break it away from Western investors. The decision comes as a result of some 18 months of negotiations between the Kremlin and Yandex. Although Yandex's market capitalization was around $10.2 billion, the Russian government's mandatory demand of a discount of at least 50% to fair value involving foreign asset sales brought down the final price to half of its value. In 2021, before Russia invaded Ukraine, Yandex was valued at around $30 billion. In Pakistan, at least 10 police officers were killed and 6 injured in Monday's pre-dawn attack by armed militants on a police station in Dera Ismail Khan, near the border with Afghanistan. The militants began the attack with sniper rifle at around 3 a.m. local time before entering the building armed with guns, grenades and rockets. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. However, Pakistan has seen a resurgence of attacks by Islamist militants since 2022, when a ceasefire agreement between Pakistani Taliban and the government ended. 2 months ago, a suicide bomber detonated a vehicle filled with explosives outside a police station in the same district, killing at least 23 and wounding 32. In El Salvador, President Nayib Bukele won re-election on Sunday after securing a victory by a large margin. 42-year-old President Bukele has been credited with driving down El Salvador's gang violence, including the country's murder rate. Since coming to power in 2019, Bukele has transformed El Salvador from one of the most violent countries in the world to one of the safest in Latin America. His Nuevas Ideas party won at least 58 out of 60 seats in the National Assembly. Despite domestic popularity, Bukele remains a controversial figure for potential human rights violations related to anti-gang arrests. Kim Si-young, Arirang News.
Hello, I'm Lee Jae-yong with the latest weather updates. On and off snow and rain continued all day yesterday in the capital, and parts of Gangwon-do province, including Gangneung and Hongcheon, saw massive snowfall of more than 30 centimeters. Please stay safe on the road. Well, most of the snow has let up except in some southern areas and mountainous regions on Jeju, with more snow in the forecast for today. Starting off the day 1 to 7 degrees lower than yesterday in most parts, and highs should go up to similar to Monday, hovering slightly above season norms. Seoul sees a high of 5 degrees Celsius this afternoon. Then Wednesday looks to be chillier but sunnier than today. Checking on today's highs for other regions, Daegu and Gwangju see highs of 7 degrees, Busan, Jeju topping out at 9 degrees Celsius this afternoon. Mostly cloudy skies are in store for most places today. Promising weather is on tap for the Seollal holiday weekend under much brighter skies nationwide, so the weather will not affect your travel plans. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That's all we have for you at this hour. We'll bring you more of the latest here in Korea and the world at the same time tomorrow. you.